Thanks. So, hello everyone. How are we doing? We're good? Okay. Very well. So, listen, I didn't come here to talk about digital this, digital that, agile cures everything, and all that other crap that people will always tell you about. Rather, I came here to tell you a story about something else. The world we live in is not the one that we grew up in. And I think that's the exact same thing that we just heard before, right? So things have changed in this world. Do you remember the time when you used to go on vacation to some really small country in Asia somewhere, and you saw people washing things in a river and thought, oh my God, that's quaint. How about that? And you took a picture of it because you wanted to show people at home, oh my God, do you believe it? They don't even have washing machines there, and they wash their things in the river. Then enter today. Now we're living in a world where in that very same country, people look at us really, really strangely when we go somewhere, you know, like you're in China and you go somewhere to pay for something and you pull out a wallet. Yeah. So now we got all these Chinese people running around taking pictures of us saying, can you believe it? They are actually paying for things with money? With dirty money, coins and bills. It's unbelievable, right? So this is the world we live in today where, you know, all of us who thought we were, you know, at the forefront of digitalization and all that stuff, where people in other countries are now looking at us and saying, I can't believe they're still using that. Even something like, you know, paying with my Apple Watch is old. You know, it's played out. This is the world we live in now, where, you know, when I was a little bit younger, I used to live in London, and one of the highlights of living in London was coming across like some really cool busker, you know, a guy out there with his guitar and a hat or something you could throw some coins in. Well, forget about that, because in China, if you're homeless, all you have to do is hold up your RFID, your your QR code, and this is how seriously people on the streets beg for money using QR codes now. Yeah, because remember, they don't use coins in China anymore, so what's this guy gonna beg for, okay? So he gets some money sent to his phone, and then he uses Alipay or WeChat or whatever it is and goes to the nearest whatever place it is and gets himself a cup of coffee. Yeah? So panhandling, or not panhandling, but begging has now changed into something digital as well. So that means in this world that we live in today, we have to make decisions about how we want to address the way we sell products or introduce our products to the world, to our potential customers. So I work for one of the largest supermarket chains in Germany, which, by the way, also happens to be one of the largest travel companies in Europe. So any of you who's been on vacation this year has probably flown with one of our affiliated airlines or stayed in one of our hotels. And one thing that we discovered is, as you can see here on the picture, is the world is totally different. We don't go around anymore with a box in front of us with a whole bunch of stuff inside and tell people, would you like to have one of these? You know? Rather, we have to ask ourselves the question these days, are we, or are our clients, our customers, are they buying something from us, or are they buying something for themselves? You see, this is the question we have to ask. And so we asked ourselves this question as well at the supermarket chain where I work, and we discovered that there's one group of people that are buying for themselves, and we want to make sure that they buy from us. And that's this guy right here. We all know him well. And if you're really, really quiet, you can probably spot a couple of them right here amongst yourselves. They are not the Walking Dead. They are smumbies. You know what a smumbie is, right? It's a smartphone zombie. It's this guy or girl. that lives like this. These are the people we want to sell to. Because in these days, the smartphone is everywhere. So I don't want to turn this into a speech about smartphones and stuff, because we're going to get to what the actual message is here. But first of all, let's take another look at our world. Now, this is back in 2005. Yeah, the Pope was being voted in. And of course, there's always that one person down in the corner there taking a picture with their smartphone, right? Someone else took this picture with a camera, I suppose. And then just a few years later, this is the exact same spot. Okay? So anyone who says, mobile devices and handies and smartphones and watches, all these things are the devil's work and we should do away with them because they're destroying our minds and our children are going to grow up to be like, something weird. It's not true. It's just something different. It's just a different way of going about the things than we have seen before in the past. Oh, and by the way, in that other picture, there was that one dude with the phone. And of course, there's always the one taking a picture with an iPad. It's funny how that creeped in there. But if they didn't want us to take pictures with the iPad, then why the hell did they put a camera on it anyway? So off we go. Now, in the digital age, we really have to ask ourselves the question, not should we digitalize or not, or how should we do it? I mean, if you're still talking about how to do digitalization today, then you may as well just go home and just forget about it. These companies here, some of these companies on the left side no longer exist. World of Music was a really big, it was like Virgin Records in Germany, right? And they no longer exist because of things like iTunes and Spotify or whoever else. It should be Apple Music now, sorry. Then there are companies that sold electronics and they don't exist anymore. As a matter of fact, this company, ProMarkt, actually belonged to our company. And it's no longer there because you can just get everything from Amazon. You don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is click. It gets delivered to your house. If you don't like it, you send it back. Maybe if you did like it, but you just needed to use it just for 2 days, you still send it back. So like this old brick and mortar shop is out. People don't need to go there anymore. And our ex-CEO, he used to say something really hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. He said, listen, we're in the supermarket in the retail business, and we have always believed people will always need to go somewhere to do their shopping and buy things in person. And so we got comfortable and we went to bed and we went to sleep. We relaxed, we're chilling out, wake up in the morning, and Jeff Bezos is in bed with our wife. So now people are selling things online, fresh produce that you would normally expect to just get in a supermarket, in a physical supermarket. But as I said, if you're still talking about digitalization right now, then maybe you need to change the conversation. You need to already be there. And you have to ask yourself now the question, how do you facilitate it? So I'm going to skip over this one. This is the Smombi thing again. It's in German. It says what happens between, like on your way to the supermarket. And as you can see here, there's a smartphone in every picture. And these are the people that we'd like to somehow capture. And there's a way to do this, and the most important thing is to stop thinking about technology first. Technology, let me give you a little bit of wisdom, technology is a tool like every other. A guy by the name of Nicholas G. Carr wrote a book, or an article I think it was, for the Harvard Business Review, in which he said, he posed this thing about IT doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Using IT, it will not give you a competitive advantage, or it will give you the same competitive advantage as using electricity, right? So you have to think to yourself, if using digital things is not the key to digitalization, then what is it? So IT and technology should not define our visions. It should just be a tool to help us reach them. So what we discovered in our company is, first of all, culture. Culture is enormously important. And the teams and the people that you are selling to should be your main focus. You shouldn't be sitting in meetings, and I know a lot of you have done so, and I'm guilty too, sitting in meetings where you're talking about bottom line and numbers and all those things, and somehow you forgot to ask the question I asked at the beginning: what are the customers buying for themselves? Not what is the best technology we can use to sell our product. And you need to be able to make fast decisions and also to build new capabilities. And then when you do all this, then at some point you have exactly the products and services that you need at the time that the customer needs it, where and when they need it. So basically it's my job to make sure that we don't forget the things that I was just talking about, and that we don't lose sight of this in our conversations about strategy. Strategy is important, and I know you've all heard the statement that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? But it's true. And when you're talking about strategy, you want to know where you are now, where you need to be in the future, and what you need to do to get there. But at the same time, you must ask yourself, who are we now? Who do we want to be? And what do we have to do to be that organization? This is a little picture of our organization. Now, it's really, really funny because I go to a lot of these events and I speak and listen to other people's stories. And sometimes when I show something like this, I get people who come up to me and they say, "Oh my God, that's not work." Or like, when I tell them that work where we are, we're a digital company, but like, I don't know, like 80% of the stuff we do is not in the computer. It's outside the computer. It's with people. It's talking to each other. It's drawing pictures on walls. And I really get people coming up to me and saying, "Yeah, but who pays for them? Don't they have to ask for the free time to be able to stand around and talk to each other?" God, that's weird, isn't it? I mean, who wants to be chained to a desk? And just clicking around and filling out Excel forms. So our way of working with each other is to be in the moment with each other and to work collaboratively. So that means, is this in German? Oh, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh, my God, it's like mixed. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I sent these slides in like 2 days ago or something after getting off a plane. Anyway, so what it's basically saying is one of the most important things that you have to think about if you want to design like the newest, latest, hottest stuff for those smartphone zombies out there, then you might have to think about the way you are organized and the way you work together. And so for us, one of the most important things was, yes, the first one says how you work with each other. So that means people participating and being self-organized is much more important than hierarchy and some, working in silos. And I can say this because I used to have this really, really important title, and I was like this really high-ranking guy at some big, giant consulting firm, and that was all really cool. And the greatest thing about that was that people wouldn't speak until I said something, and I love to talk, That was great. Now, it's like, sit down, shut up. If you don't know what you're talking about, you can listen. You don't need to be here. You can leave. You can stay. No one cares what your rank is in a meeting. Yeah? So if you have nothing to contribute, if you don't know more than the rest of the people who are there, then just sit down and shut up and, take it easy, right? So don't be a boss. Just be a part of what's happening. The other one is trust, personal responsibility. That is in English, great. And things like top down, like we all know the situation. There's like a bunch of guys, maybe some women. I know gender diversity and all that stuff, right? We haven't gotten there yet, but it's usually a bunch of guys in some funny-looking suit, and they're just throwing packages of work down at you, and and you just they're like, okay, it's like do this and do this next, and then do this. Well, it is possible to give people the freedom to decide how to do what they want to do or what they need to do. And so that means things like self-organizing teams and autonomous teams. They actually work much, much better than teams that are always told what to do and how to do it. And this is not just me who says this. There's a really interesting presentation from Laszlo Buck, who is the head of human something at Google. Yeah, his title's not important to him either. He just does something with humans, yeah. And so Laszlo Buck, he wrote this thing called Work Rules, which is true. It rules, it fucking rocks, right? Excuse me, I didn't say that word. And anyway, and so at the same time, he's saying work should have some rules, but it should rule, It should be cool. And it can. And he discovered in this thing that he wrote, he said that he looked at a number of companies, and in every company where the people were allowed to make their own decisions and work independently, that they had higher revenues, people earned more, they had better products and services and so on. And all the companies with the top-down thing, everyone was miserable, the product was miserable, and the customers were miserable. Now, we've all been in that situation as well, where someone has asked us to do some project, and you're given an amount of time to do the project, and if you don't make it to the end, if you don't finish by then you're in deep water, yeah, in trouble. Well, there's another way to go about it, and it is to figure out what is the first or the most important thing that I need to deliver now, and let me get that done. It doesn't have to be 100%, and in the end, we can take that and then do the next iteration and fix it and add to it and make it better. And I'll give you an example. Well, okay, this is not about iteration, but it's about this need and this drive of people to always have 100%, and to always know what is exactly the right thing to do. Well, if you jump out of a window, or you do indoor skydiving, like someone was saying this morning, indoor skydiving, and let's say you have, a couple of thousand feet to fall, and the first 1,000 or whatever, you're thinking to yourself, everything's fine, nothing happened yet. I mean, the decision to take out a parachute or whatever it is and to save your life, and you can make the right decision 5 meters above the ground. You can make that right decision 5 meters above the ground, but sorry, it's too late, right? So start early, make wrong decisions early, and fix them along the way, is the message here. Now, we all go to work for different reasons. Some of us, just trying to make those dollar bills, right? Or euro notes, or slutty. No, they don't exist anymore. Some of us are just there to make money. Some of us go to work because we want to realize a dream, because we want to be pioneers, because we really want to do something meaningful. This is a real scene from work. A couple of guys sitting around talking about how to make our customers' lives better. They're not talking about how to make our website or the app better. They're talking about how to make customers' lives better. And so we asked the question also internally with our people, what is the real you? What do you want to be? And how can we help you get there? Because if you can be what you want to be and you can do something really incredible, then our clients will be more happy and we will earn more money in the end, because obviously we're in the business to earn money in the end. And so that means some people, just think about it when you have talks with your colleagues. Some people would just like to expand their skills. They're not there to become more important and to get better titles and maybe bigger cars. Some people like to be pioneers, as I said before, or people like myself. One of my main purposes is to share knowledge with people, to learn and share with others. And also, I called it orchestrating and driving, but some people want to be the boss, so let them, right? Or give them something that makes them feel that way. Now, one other thing I want to touch on here. I don't know if you've all heard of the clean slate approach. And the clean slate approach says, stop talking about technology first. First, figure out what it is that you want to do. Then you can talk about what type of processes and internal workings you need to do it. And in the end, you can choose the technologies to do that. And in order to be able to work in this way, I mean, we've gone from, these systems of total control to new systems of self-organization. And the interesting thing here is, I mean, we can all agree that 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people never would have imagined something like a software programmer, software engineers, or just name anything else that we have in this world today. And back then, nobody knew what that was. So back in those days, in the days of Taylorism, we went from a world where I think it was something like 90% of people worked out in the fields somewhere, to a world where suddenly, like almost overnight, half the population was working in factories. And someone had to figure out how to make the work in the factories go better. And so along comes this guy named Taylor who says, okay, so why don't we just count up, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, so why don't we just count up the number of moves it takes to do something, how many different stages does something go through, and we can quantize all that, and we can also quantify all that, and then quantize it, and then turn it into a better process. But then at some point we left the factories and we swapped those out for a desk, a desk with a computer. And then back in the 90s, in the early 90s, the 2000s, all the rage was the topic of people empowerment. And then we moved on to things like agility and servant leadership. There's holacracy and all kinds of other hippie-like movements, where people somehow dance out whatever the concept is that they want to convey. But the whole idea here is that self-organization is more important these days than directing people and telling them exactly what to do and how to do it. One of the other things about self-organization that I think is very important, or one thing that helps us quite a lot in our company, is just that you are able to learn more. Because chances are, those guys and girls who are, they're working with the topic or whatever it is every single day, they're going to know a lot more than you do as some manager or boss, right? So let them do it and let them speak about it. So I keep hearing this term, or we all keep hearing the term agility. I keep telling people, stop talking about being agile. It doesn't cure everything. There's so much more you can do, different ways you can go about designing the things that you need to design. And, just some of the ideas are here right now. I don't want to go into each one into detail because we don't have enough time, but I'm sure you've heard a lot of these terms. And this is one that I like very much here. This is from a guy from the Netherlands. And basically, his whole thing is manage the system and not the people. And that's something that people have always had a hard time trying to understand and to put into action. But you don't have to manage people all the time. Manage the system that they're in, and they will somehow self-organize. I'll give you a good example. I don't know if Tom's still here somewhere, but the Dutch love to ride their bicycles. I mean, they're like #1 with the bicycles. And I spend a lot of time in the Netherlands riding bicycles as well. There is a very important, very busy intersection in Amsterdam called Alexanderplein. And I mean, really one of the busiest. And they decided, let's just turn off the traffic lights at this intersection and see what happens. There's no one there directing traffic. There's no, it's just turn off the traffic lights and see what happens. You have trams, you have bicycles, cars, pedestrians, people pushing baby carriages, skateboarders, whatever. And as it turns out, people self-organize, and the traffic situation, the flow, the number of accidents at this intersection is way less after they decided to turn off the lights. And it worked so well that they've kept them off permanently now, just as an example. So, and the other thing, one of the last things I want to leave you with is this new age of working and doing things digitally and so on. Yeah, I mean, come on, in our company, we sit around in bean bags. I use an iPad as my main driver. It's kind of cool. We write on walls and all that stuff. Anything you can imagine that sounds like Silicon Valley, yeah, we got all that stuff. But one thing you have to remember is it's not a free-for-all, folks, and it's not just fun. It can be fun, and fun means that in the end you do really, really good things. But all these misconceptions we need to debunk. Yeah, those 2 light bulbs. Oh, by the way, I drew all these pictures, right? And as I was drawing this one, my daughter comes up behind me. She's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Isn't it obvious? They're bad ideas, right?" So anyway, we've all got a lot of work to do. We have so much to do. One of the things that we should do is just reinvent traditions. Don't just do things because they've always been done that way. Question them, find a new way to do things, and don't try to change everything. That's one of the things, all the agile and whatever new work evangelists out there, they will say, everything that has gone before is wrong, and we should get rid of it. That is not the case. We should find a space for the old and the new together. So, sorry, going to have to skip some here. And there was something about gender diversity in there, but we'll get to that another time. I just want to show you this really quick film here. This is just an example of how work in a new type of environment can look. So how do I start it? Yes, I do. No, I don't.
I'm not sorry. Just looking for another you. It's not getting any better. But what can I do when there's something wrong? When we keep holding on to the best days. I'm not saying I'm not sorry. Just looking for another you.
I'm going to stop it right there because the timer says I'm done. But I'm going to just give you a couple of things to remember. So first of all, don't believe you've got it all figured out. I mean, even the biggest rock stars and the greatest athletes in this world, you know what makes them great? They practice. They practice a lot, and they get things wrong, and then they get up again and they fix it. So please, just that's my appell to you all. that was just a little bit of a view of how working in the digital age can be and how important it is for us as humans. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, so thank you.